guys, today I have a super exciting video because I got a package from Wet n Wild, so we are going to be playing with some drugstore makeup, which is not something that I do very often, but I do really enjoy being able to show you some more affordable makeup, and being on Wet n Wild's PR list has been really fun. I don't always feature everything they come out with because sometimes I feel like their collections aren't really, how do I say this without being rude, something that makes me excited, because sometimes their collections are a little bit too childish and there's a lot of pressed glitters involved and stuff like this, but this collection is so adorable and I'm really excited to play with it. So we're going to be trying the Lilo and Stitch collection, like I said, from Wet n Wild. Or is it just called Stitch? Why do I feel like it's Lilo and Stitch? I've never watched the show, but I feel like they do kind of go together. Maybe it's just a Stitch collection. I could be wrong. But like I said, they sent me a PR package with a bunch of stuff. So this is like the second layer. I've already taken out the first layer, but I thought I would show you these first because I'm not going to be using all of these. So there's a waterproof mascara, which I already know that I'm not the biggest fan of Wet n Wild's mascaras. So I'm going to just give this to someone else because I'm probably not going to be enjoying it that much. There's also a exfoliating multi-scrub, which I may or may not use, but I'm obviously not going to be like reviewing it in this video. There's a sponge, which I'm not a sponge person. There's also a body spray, which is like a luminizing spray. I'm not someone who likes putting stuff on my body, so I'm gonna be giving this one away. And then there's this one, which is a hydrating setting mist. So we're gonna try that when I'm done with my makeup, but the rest of the things are the things that I am the most excited about that we're definitely gonna be trying. And like I said, I think that they did a really good job with just like the packaging and the theme on this. So let me start by showing you everything else that we're gonna be trying. So in the package came two eyeliners, which I'm always excited to get new eyeliners. There's a blue one and a black one. The blue one didn't swatch the absolute best. It swatched a little bit sheerly, but I think I'm gonna try it in my waterline and just kind of see how it works. The black one swatched really well. It was super creamy and it was quite hard to remove as well. One of the things that I'm really excited about, these are new. I'm not sure if these are a new formula. I haven't seen these before, but these are glosses, but they're called wet lip oil gloss. So I'm not really sure exactly what that is. I guess it's a hybrid between a lip oil and a gloss, but the colors are beautiful and the formula seemed really nice, and I think I'm going to really like those. The face palette in here is also beautiful. I think that the colors that they chose are going to work for a lot of different people. Not sure exactly how I'm going to work with this, which colors I'm going to use, but we're going to test it out and see how it is. And then of course the eyeshadow palette, which is again adorable. I do have to say this again, I wish Wet n Wild would just use cardboard packaging instead of plastic packaging, because I just find that they have really good quality, and I feel like if they up their packaging a little bit, it doesn't have to be like spending a ton of money on packaging. I just feel like it would elevate the brand in a way that they aren't right now if they moved away from the plastic packaging, at least on certain items, and maybe use cardboard instead, because I'm just not the biggest fan, but that's just me. But I do think the color story is adorable. I do, however, wish that there wasn't a pressed glitter in here. That was one of the reasons why I was kind of ming and hawing, and I posted a poll on Instagram if you guys wanted to see a video with this, and actually 75% or 76% when I'm filming this said yes. So I was like, okay, well, you guys want to see it, so I'll happily play with this, but I do wish that the pressed glitter wasn't there. But again, that's just me. Let's go ahead and start with the face palette because I don't have anything on my face except for just foundation, powder, and concealer, and brows of course, but let's go ahead and start with this. I'm gonna try first to use the lightest of the matte bronzers and see if it shows up. It might be a little bit too light for me, and then it does show up. It's definitely quite cool tone. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just dip gently right into here and then dip into this one and then kind of tap it off a little bit, and just I want to get a little bit more pigment because I feel like it's a little light for me otherwise. And I think that actually works out very nicely. I think that it's a very nice and blendable formula without being too pigmented, because I could see this having gone very badly if I, if this shade was too pigmented, this look could have gone in a direction that I wouldn't want it to. But actually this is working quite nicely. And I think, like I said, I think a lot of different skin tones would be able to use this palette. And as you can see, it's blending out beautifully. I like that it's nice and matte. I'm personally a fan of a matte bronzer, and I like a more, not too glowy of a blush, but I do like my bronzers to be mostly matte, and I think that looks beautiful. Now, I don't have a blush in this collection, so I thought I could just use a blush from Wet n Wild as well that I really enjoy, and this is from their Halloween collection last year. This one has a little skull print on the inside here, or is it a pumpkin print? It's like a skull pumpkin. Anyway, super cute. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. I don't think this is available anymore, but I love this, and it smells like pumpkin, and the color of it is so pretty that I'm just excited to use this again, because sometimes I forget about my blushes and they end up in the back of my drawer. But as soon as I realized I was making a video with this, I was like, let me pull this out because this is so pretty. Look at that color. Ooh, I really like that. I need to use this more often because this is adorable, and I think it's one of my actually favorite products from Wet n Wild that I have in my collection. And I think in general Wet n Wild has really, really nice products. Like, the quality for the price is really nice, and not just for the price, but I think that their stuff is very nice just in general. Just going to take my powder brush and just make sure that everything is nice and blended. And we're gonna try the highlighter in the palette as well. I'm not sure if this is going to be too dark. I think this shade could be used to make the bronzer a little bit more glowy, if that is something you're into. I'm gonna take, let's see, what kind of brush am I gonna use for this? I wanna use quite a flimsy brush because I don't know how pigmented this is. I don't want this to be just like a metallic stripe on my face. I try to go in a little bit lighter with new products that I don't know yet, but okay, that's really pretty. That is actually more kind of intense than I expected it to be. And even though it looks quite glittery in the pan, I'm not really seeing like glitters on the face. I'm just seeing a nice sheen. I also don't feel like this is too dark for me. I don't think it's leaving a cast at all. So I actually really like that. I think that is a beautiful, like, not too intense and not subtle highlighter. It's like right in the middle. It feels like a very nice, can go with everything kind of color as well, even though it is on the gold side. I think that it's not so intense that it's gonna take over like whatever blush you end up using. I think this would work with like pinker blushes too, but that's really pretty. I really like that. I think Wet n Wild makes nice face products. Now I do want to put on one of these glosses, and I think I'm going to use this one because I really like pink lip products. So I'm going to first find a lip liner that I can line my lips with, and then we can put this on top and see what the formula is like. So I'm going to use this lip liner from Nyx. I figure since we're doing drugstore, I might as well keep going with it. So this is in the shade Bed Rose. I feel like this is going to be the perfect color for this lip gloss. So now I'm going to use the shade here, which is called Got the Scoop. Ooh, that smells, it smells like candy. It smells like, not sour candy, but like sweet gummies. Oh, I really like the scent of that. That is amazing. Ooh, that is so kind of wet. And I'm used to some of the glosses from Wet n Wild being a little sticky, but like in a good way, like very long lasting. But this doesn't feel like that at all. I definitely do feel like it has sort of a lip oil quality to it. And I really like how that looks on the lips. It's not super opaque, but it definitely has enough color to it that I feel like you can't just see that I'm wearing a lip liner with a gloss. And I like that because that is not a look that I really enjoy. So this has enough color to it that I really enjoy it, and I can see myself wearing that with lip liners a lot, and I'm excited to play with the other colors as well. Now let's get into the palette, because like I said, I do feel like the color story on this is really nice, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do yet, but I'm excited to create something fun with this. Just priming with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base. I did just swatch this palette, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about the shimmers on the eyes. I felt like the shimmers swatched quite sheerly, so I'm definitely going to use the glitter primer with them. I mean, not that I wouldn't anyway, but I hope that is going to make them a little bit more opaque, the way that I like my shimmers to be. But I had a really good time with the palette that I tried from their Halloween collection, and I ranked it quite high actually in my ranking my last 10 palettes after I tried it, because I thought the quality was really nice. And the mattes in here felt so smooth that I think I'm gonna be able to make something fun out of this. So I'm thinking what I want to do is I sort of want to mix the cool tones with the warm tones, because I like doing that. I just think that's kind of fun. So maybe what I'll do is play with kind of the red and the brown on my top lid, and then do the blues on my bottom. And then I figured since most of the shimmers in here are warm tone, it makes the most sense that I use the warm tones on my lid. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. If you saw my swatches, I didn't swatch the glitter because I don't like touching glitters. I don't like swatching glitters. I don't like using glitters. They make a mess. They get everywhere. They're hard to remove. So I mean, here's what it looks like. I'm sure it's beautiful on the eyes, but it's just not my thing. So I didn't really want to touch it, and I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna start with the red shade here, or I think it's probably going to lean a little bit pink, but that is okay. I'm gonna take this on a What's Up Beauty brush. This is the R102. A little bit of kick up in the pan here, but I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. And I'm just gonna start packing that into my crease as my transition shade. It's actually showing up quite red on the eye, which I was expecting it to pull pink, but I do feel like this is quite a true but also kind of light red. It's a very interesting shade. I do feel like it's going on a little sheerly, but it does seem like it's buildable, so I'm just going to take my time here and get a good application. I'm not going to, like I said, take this under my eye because I do want to play with the blues as well. But yeah, this is actually performing very nicely. It's building up nicely, it's blending out nicely, it's very easy to work with. I'm not having any fallout that I can see either, so that's good. Yeah, so far that is super nice. I will try to link all of the products from this collection down below. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find all of them. Sometimes with collections from Wet n Wild, certain things are sold out or you just can't find them anymore. But I will try to link everything. I think it's all available at Ulta, so I'll link it from there if I can find it. If not, I'll just link it from the Wet n Wild website. I feel like I'm able to get a really, really smooth blend with this. It's not as like opaque and sort of rich in color as some other mattes that I've used, but I am getting a very seamless and smooth blend here. And I think that once I deepen this up with a brown, this is going to look really, really nice. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna go into the bottom shade in the corner here, which is the darkest brown. Just taking that on a Rephr 13. If you can hear any sound from outside, I'm sorry. I think my husband or someone else is watching TV and it sounds like it's quite loud, but hopefully you guys can't hear it. If you can't, sorry. But this is building very nicely. It's not as dark, I feel like, on the eye as it is in the pan, but I do think that I'm able to build it up to get quite a nice intensity here. And actually, yeah, this is building better than I was expecting and is looking a lot richer, which I kind of expected just from the swatches because this is one of the shades that's swatched the best. And I really like how that is going on the eyes. I'm not sure if you can see just how sort of creamy it looks on the eyes and how opaque and rich this is because this is performing so nicely. Just gonna take a little bit through my crease here, not all the way in, just almost all the way in. So just to get a bit of a smoother transition into the blues on my lower lash line, I'm gonna take a tiny bit of this brown and just wrap it around just on the very outer corner, and that way I'm gonna be able to just work on the actual outer corner here as well and just make sure I get a good blend. And also this way I'm preventing any kind of purple happening on the outer corner because if you mix red with blue you get purple, and I really just want this to be red and blue, if that makes sense, with of course the brown in here as well, but I just don't want to bring in another color that isn't already represented in this color story because I want this to look like this look came from this palette. But I'm having a great time with these shadows so far. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the blue down here because that is such a beautiful blue. I'm gonna do that in the sort of middle of my lower lash line, and I'm gonna put a little bit of this lighter blue. It's more like a denim blue on the front portion. Just gonna stamp this right in the middle here and see how that performs. It's a little bit on the sheer side. It's not sticking the absolute best, but I kind of wasn't really expecting that because dark blues do tend to sometimes need a bit more of a sticky base, but it's definitely holding on and it's looking very nice and blue. Just going in with a lighter blue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that in the front portion of my lower lash line. Again, a little bit on the sheer side. It's not sticking the absolute best, but it's not sticking to the point where I feel like I need to put an eyeshadow primer down. I mean, I do think that looks quite nice. I'm just gonna take a little bit more of the dark brown and just make sure that the mix between the two colors here are Nice. And then we're going to use some of the shimmers. And like I said before, I'm curious how the shimmers are going to perform because they didn't swatch the absolute best. So I don't have the highest of expectations, but I will not make a judgment until I've tried them. I'm first going to put on some of my NYX Glitter Primer just so that we can see how these shimmers really can perform at their best. Not using too much of this, just tapping a small amount over my lid where I want the shimmers to go. And I'm going to start with the shade, which is the sort of red shimmer here. And we're going to see this one felt when I swatched it to be quite sheer. So I don't know how exactly I'm going to feel about this on the lid, but let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to start that in the middle and sort of drag it outwards and blend it into the matte. So on the eye as well, it does seem quite sheer. And I do feel like the glitter primer is helping it, but I also don't feel like it's very impressive if I'm being completely honest. I think it just depends on what you're looking for in your shimmers. I think I'm so spoiled with shimmers at this point because of all my indie brands that something like this is not really blowing my socks off. But I also do feel like if you're someone who don't like your shimmers creasing and stuff like that, I do feel like a formula like this is going to just last longer on the eyes. So if that's important to you more so than having it be nice and shiny and, you know, special, then maybe this would be perfect for you. And it is blending very nicely into the matte as well. For the front portion, I'm going to use the light yellow shimmer here. This one, I think that's going to look beautiful with this. I'm also going to wrap it a little bit down underneath my eye. This one I would say is definitely a little bit more intense than the red, and it's also applying easier on the lids. I really like sort of a pastel yellow shimmer. I think that there aren't enough of them in palettes, because I feel like they're quite versatile. You can use them as an inner corner shade, you can use them as a lid shade. They always layer very nicely over really any color that you pair them with. And I really do like how these colors are all sort of playing together here. I think that looks really nice. I'm actually a big fan of this. I think this performed very nicely. Like I said, I'm going to take a little bit more of this and just put some in the inner corner of my eye and just blend it a little bit over that blue, but I don't really want this to turn green at all, so I'm going to be quite light-handed with this. And then I think I'm just going to go ahead and go finish off with my eyes. But before I do that, let's go ahead and try the blue eyeliner. I'm going to put this in my waterline and just see how it performs. It might be kind of the wrong shade of blue to be using with this look, but I just want to try it. So I feel like it's going in the waterline the same way that it kind of applied on my hand, and it's a little bit sheer, but I do feel like if I go in enough times, yeah, I definitely get the color and it's nice and pigmented, but it has like a sheer quality to it that I felt like the black didn't have. Actually, the more I use it, I feel like the better it gets. Like when I put it on this eye, it did a lot better than it did on this eye. Not sure why that is, but I'm gonna have to just try this a few more times and also just see how it wears. But I mean, you can see it's clearly in my waterline and it's nice and blue. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish off my eyes. I think I'm gonna probably put on some lashes because I bought this thing on Amazon that I got as a recommendation from Katie Marie when I was watching her video. And it's one of these like triple-sided mirrors that when you look inside, you can see like every angle of your eyes, and I feel like it's gonna be perfect to actually get like a good application on my lashes. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this, and I will report back after I have them on and just kind of see how that goes, because I always struggle to just get my lashes to look nice right on the inner portion of my eye, and I think being able to see it from up top or from the bottom you get what I'm trying to say. I think that's gonna be super helpful. Okay, so the lashes are on. Now, how do I feel about this mirror? I think that it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to just which angle to kind of look at, because I struggled to want to look at two places at once, and then I just wasn't able to get them on properly. But that was totally my own fault, and I think that this is a really cool idea. And I'm definitely going to be playing around with it more, because now I can see that my lashes are actually all the way close to my lash line, and they look great when I look down, but they're a little bit wonky just like right here, but that was totally my own fault. And I think that the more I practice, I mean, the more you practice anything, the better you're gonna get, and you're just not gonna be really good at something until you keep doing it over and over and over again. And you're gonna have bad days, and that's just the story of trying to, you know, practice your skills at anything. So I think to finish off, I'm gonna use a little bit of this setting spray. This was the No Bad Days Hydrating Setting Mist. I probably should have done this before I did my eyes. Maybe, I'm not sure, but let's just go ahead and try this. That is quite a aggressive mist, if I have to say so myself, but I definitely feel like that gave a lot of hydration, and it smells very summery. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest, I mean, that makes my skin look so dewy, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a fan of like dewy skin to start the day, because I do have oily skin, and I do find that you know, as the day goes on, my skin starts to look more dewy just on its own, and I don't need any help with that. But it does feel really nice, I will say that. The mist isn't breaking up the foundation or anything at all, and it's definitely making it look more dewy. If you're looking for a dewy setting mist, this might be perfect for you. I'm curious to see how this is going to just wear it now that it's already looking quite dewy. And I do think it looks nice. Like if I were to go somewhere and know that I wouldn't wear my makeup for more than a couple of hours, I would absolutely use this, because I do like how this looks now, but I'm just worried about how this is going to look in 8 hours from now. But at least I don't have to go anywhere today, so it's totally fine. So this is the final look. Now, let me talk you through my thoughts on this collection. So I think I would say that my favorite things from this collection is probably the lip products, because this is so pretty. I love how this looks on the lips. It's very comfortable. It's not sticky at all, but I could see it. I don't want to say it's long lasting, because no gloss is really that long lasting, but I can see this wearing okay, you know, especially if you're not eating or drinking and stuff like that. And I really like how it looks. I think it's very comfortable, it's very cute, and I'm excited to play with the other colors as well. I also think that the highlighter is so beautiful. Like, that looks really nice. I wish I had this highlighter in a single and it wasn't in a face palette, because that way I would have reached for it a lot more. Knowing myself, I'm probably not going to be reaching for this highlighter just because it is in a face palette, and I don't know if I'm going to be using these two shades again, because I have to mix them. And when I have to mix something, it's almost like that extra step that makes it a little bit harder to use, and I would rather use something that's more effortless and that's in a shade that's already perfect for me. But I do think that in general, this is a really nice palette. The quality is nice, it performed well. I don't really have anything to complain about except that the colors aren't perfect for me, but they might be perfect for you still. I think the eyeshadow palette is, I would say, okay. It's not my favorite. I'm probably not going to use it again. I do like the look that came out of it. I think that the mattes they're workable, but they're a little sheer for what I like personally. I do think that this brown is really, really nice. The red, the blues, so probably won't be using this again. The shimmers are also a little too lackluster for my liking, but again, it just depends on what you're looking for. If this is something that you think you would like, you would probably like it. I mean, I do think that Wet n Wild has pretty good eyeshadow quality. I mean, they are an affordable brand. I don't want to compare this to like brands that are 10 times more expensive, you know, because that wouldn't be fair to this. I think for what it is, it's nice. Not my favorite, probably won't be using it again, but I'm still happy I tried it and I like the look that came out of it. The spray, like I said, I like it so far. Don't really have any other opinions on it. The eyeliner is definitely sticking in my waterline still. I think that I'm gonna like this more than I originally thought I would. Because when I swatched it, it swatched a little bit sheerly. It applied a little sheerly the first time, but once I kind of warmed it up and I started using it more, I like the performance of this more now than I thought I would. The black one I haven't used. I'm not really someone who uses a black liner like this. I don't like black in my waterline, and I don't like using these kind of pencils on my top lid because they transfer. I have hooded eyes, so that's just like the nature of the game. Whenever I put something on my lash line, if it's not waterproof, if it doesn't completely dry down, it will transfer into my crease, and that's just how it is. So there are only a couple of products that I can use on my top lash line in order for it not to transfer, and I don't think that this is going to be one of those, and I don't want to risk it because I have other black liners like the one I'm using today, which is a liquid liner that I know isn't going to transfer. So I think that's going to be my thoughts. Is this a collection that you are interested in? Do you want me to do more with the Wet n Wild collections that I do end up getting? I can definitely do that if there is interest, but again, it needs to be something that kind of speaks to me and is maybe a theme that I feel like I can connect with, or color story that I can connect with, or just something that doesn't have a ton of pressed glitters. I can deal with one. I think one is like the most that I would ever use a palette for, because I'm just, like I said, I just don't really like using things that have pressed glitters in them, because I know myself that I'm not going to be using them in the future if it does have pressed glitters in it. So that's going to be my thoughts. Like I said, let me know if you are interested in this collection. What is your favorite product from Wet n Wild? I would love to know. If you want to see some more Wet n Wild content, I will make a playlist. I definitely have one already, probably. I'll put that right there. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.